This is a case of me getting excited about a really small thing, and I think it's important in this day and age to celebrate the small things in life, because you never know when they might be taken away from you. That was a deep start, but it's about the magic of queries building on indenting. So the reason I say it's magic, you know when you push a button on a program and everything just works behind the scenes and you get the result that you want? That's how I feel when I use indenting and queries correctly, or when it works for me. It really works quite well. So disclaimers on this video is there will be some repetition from one of my first videos. I did a video on combining workflows, and this is actually just building on those same concepts but with a little bit more structure. So when I started this, it was very higgledy-piggledy. I'm trying to make things a little bit more structured and accessible. And the second point there is that it's more suited to beginners. So if you are an advanced Logseq user, click next. This probably isn't for you, but maybe you could learn something, so why the hell not? So I think a question that a lot of people have when starting on Logseq or Rome or something like that is, why do I indent and when do I indent? I think is also an important question that is raised. And a lot of people will just do it indiscriminately, as in like, I will write a sentence, so sentence 1, and then go into sentence 2, and then sentence 3. And at least for my understanding of this, that doesn't work, and it tends to cause a lot more chaos. The idea is that you have parent and child blocks. So if I just delete all of this, a parent block is something which you nest additional information under. So I'm now wanting to talk a little bit about parent and child blocks. So what I will do is how I got that is I entered, and you can use tab and shift tab to unindent and indent. But now all blocks underneath are linked to this block, which is the parent. So now if I go into that block there, this block is building out more information on the block above and also inherits the backlinks. So it is the child of this block. But now there's a little bit of parentception going on here, because this block here is the child of this block. So this is the parent block, and then this is the child block. This block here is also the child of this parent block here. So it's this hierarchy of information that is like very, very easily accessible. And as you see, I can very quickly collapse that down, which is a great feature. And this is the beauty of outlining. So, you can very quickly collapse information. So I can collapse that level, I can collapse that. And you could basically write a book in Logseq. If you had the wherewithal to do that. I don't think I could, but if you create your different sections, you can then just collapse them. How do you write a book? You write a book word by word, so paragraph by paragraph. So if you group paragraphs into the parent of a chapter, and you group chapters into the parent of a book, you could write out your outline here. So that's the beauty of indenting. And just another thing to note is that you get sibling blocks. Blocks which are underneath the parent at the same level. So all these 3 blocks here are sibling blocks. Okay, this becomes important when I need to look at linking. So I just want to quickly make a note on linking because there's been a couple of questions. So backlinks and hashtags do the exact same thing. It's a case of personal preference if you want to use backlinks or hashtag. It both creates a page which creates a link to that page. So if you want to use a hashtag with more than one word, you need to use the backlinks or the square brackets anyways. And just like my personal way of doing it, I tend to use the square brackets for inline writing, like this example. Okay, how do I use queries effectively? First question, very simple. How do I use a query in Logseq? And I will just go in here and I'll make a child block just to drum the point home. But I will then use the / command, which will allow me to type query, or I could scroll down and search for query there. And I just say enter query. And that just opens the query command for me. I'm now going to jump into my drawing and explain how you input information into that command. When I enter a query, the command is the curly brackets, so curly brackets, and then query. And then if I just close the curly brackets, what it's asking for me here is to enter a page name or a combination of page names. And we'll get into that combination just now. But that page name here, and if I just say page, the output of this query will be all the blocks that have been linked to that page name. And they can be either linked directly. So say now my block is this block. And then I've just added the hashtag page. Or, so this is option 1. So 1 here. Or option 2 is if I start a block. So I just say hashtag page. And then I indent underneath that block something else, you know, this second block. And what this block does, or what this does now, is it inherits that page from the parent block. So that makes it really, really nice to, you know, simplify your workflows. So I know I've been a little bit scruffy in my language previously. We're talking about like tags and blocks, and I think I want to be a bit more consistent going forward. So this hashtag over here is creating a link to a page, or a backlink. And as I said, it's the same as the square brackets over there, but I have made a few errors later on in the video, and I came back to this because I was very annoyed with myself, and I wanted to make sure that it was consistent for someone who's meeting this program for the first time and this channel. So anything with a hashtag is a link is created to that page. So you create links on blocks. Blocks are like your core fundamental unit there. That's how you input things into a query, and now it will return all the blocks that have got that page linked to them. Now you can also use Boolean logic, so you can combine different blocks and operators. So for this next section, I'm going to be using Venn diagrams, as I find it's a very cool way to look at it. And you'll see I just we'll have a circle with A there. And what this represents is the whole subset of blocks in my database that are linked to A. So I could have, 100 different blocks which have all got some link to A, or have the hashtag A attached to them, anywhere, or they inherit the A from their parent block. So that's what I mean when I draw that circle. It's the full subset of blocks that are linked to A. So if I look at my AND logic, so these are all the blocks that I've tagged with the tag A. And then I've got a whole nother group of blocks which I've tagged with the tag B. So I would have done this. I would just put either a hashtag or backlink. They're the same thing. Now, if I use the AND logic, I would say in my query, let me just write that out here. Query, and then brackets, and square brackets A, square brackets B, close brackets. Then what that query will return to me is the subset of this overlap, because it's got both A and B. So that's the logic there. Okay, so now I want to look at my OR query. I'm just going to make this smaller so that you can still see that, and then I'm just going to go here and I'm going to say OR. And the same thing, I've got a whole group of blocks which I've tagged with A. I'm not going to draw the backlinks, and then B. And the query here, I'm just going to bring in all those same elements, the same brackets, and then I just use OR. And then again, exactly the same. Everything comes through exactly the same as before. Query, OR, and then the blocks. And what that will give me is, if I think about this, as we'll say, if it's A, it's going to return it to me. Or if it's B, it's going to return it to me. So it's returning the full subset of those blocks. So it's like saying this or this. It doesn't have to be the combination of both, which is this A and B. Okay, so I'm not going to write it out there. I think the syntax though is just, open brackets and then your operator or and then you enter the blocks that you're wanting to input, and then a young close brackets, and then you close your query. Okay, there's another operator which you can use, and that is not. Why is this cool? Say now I've got a big subset of A over here, and another big subset of B over there, and then I've got this subset C. Now I want to look for this group over here. So the syntax of that is it's got both A and B linked to it, but it is not got C linked to it. How I would look at that is I would use the AND query first. So I would say, and I tend to use the AND and NOT combination quite a bit, where I'll say query, just move this across here, and it'll be AND A, B, and then I open brackets again, and then I say not, let's move that down again, C, and I close brackets, and I close brackets, and then I close my query. So this set of brackets here is housed within that other set of brackets. So let me just change nice pen color there. So that not C is included in that AND statement. So it's saying look at A and B, but not C, and it's looking at all of those as one operation. Okay, the third question here is why use a query rather than searching? And by searching, what I mean is opening a page and then just using these filters over here, so linked references. Queries allow you to do very targeted searching. Those filters and search functions are also really cool, but at the moment, if you're doing things in the journal, it's not really recognizing the parent block, and I think it will in the future, but queries just allows you to do a very targeted search and then also have a permanent record of those things. So I build permanent queries that then sit on a page that I can go and find them very, very easily later on. So that's why I use queries rather than searching. Okay, cool. Some additional query syntax which is important is properties and to do. So let me quickly go back to my drawing. Cool, so property, again, the syntax is very similar to the previous ones, where it's just open brackets, and you can get that command using / query, and then open brackets, property. So this is saying I'm now looking at a property, and then whatever your property name is here, and then if you've defined property pairs or values, your property value over here. So that would be if I've created a linked value in that property name, and I'll get into examples of this because there's a few ways to get to do properties. Okay, so that's quite a nice one, and I'll show you why it's so powerful later. And then finally we have the to-dos. So to do is again query, the same syntax as everything there, and I'm just going to go tuk 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 tuk, but then you use this little thing to do, and then whichever one of the to do features or to do block types you're looking for, and that I usually use to do there, but you can also look for now, later, doing, and done. So you can look for all of these in that place over there, just for completeness. So it's all about opening the brackets, entering what you're looking for, and then what the specific thing you're looking for is. So I'm looking for a to-do now, I'm looking for a property here, and then the syntax for the looking for page references or page links is a little bit different. Okay, let's get into some examples. I hope that it will land quite nicely with the examples. What I've done, for example, is just use a couple of different tags using an Eisenhower matrix, so urgence and importance, and then the different areas that I'm working in, work and personal. I don't actually use the Eisenhower matrix, but I think it just makes for a good example. And you can see here, I've just got a hodgepodge of things that have been entered into my database in the journal, plain and simple. So in this case, this deliver final report on systems integration is the child of urgent, which is the child of important, which is the child of work. Therefore, it inherits all those different backlinks. And the same for go for a run, inherits not important, urgent, and personal. This rebook appointments is a sibling of this not important, so it doesn't inherit that, but it's got this important link attached to it at the end, so that its full properties or its full links are important, urgent, personal. And the same works for these different points below. So all of these different things have been entered into my database at some random time, but now in order to find them, it's very difficult if you've got loads of texts in your journal, and if you're entering everything into one place, a query is the best way to find it. So starting my query syntax, I just say /query, and let me say I want to find everything that is work related. And there's actually a few things that I've put in up here for the to-do example, but that came after the initial video. This is really a case of third time lucky because I'm trying to refine it a little bit. But you can see here all those different points have come through. And the other thing that comes through is that this work, this important, this urgent have also been returned on the left-hand side there. So it's not an error. It's not that you are, if you're looking for, if you did the same for urgent, it's just saying that all those blocks also have been linked to work. Therefore, they are returned in the query in the same, shown at the same level, even though they are nested at different levels. So that's a little bit more detail. Let's say I want to look at the things that are urgent at work. So I will open my brackets and I'll say and work and then and urgent. Remember to close your brackets, and then there we go. Deliver final report on systems integration. So you can see here that it also returns urgent because that urgent block has work as a link to it as well, because it inherits it from the parent blocks. Okay, cool. So I can now look for something that is important but not urgent. So let's say and important, and then I open brackets again, let's say not work, because I've already got a tag that is not urgent. So let's see something which is important but not work. And then I can see I've got these two things. So that first one is just putting back my example of the different tags that I'm using, whatever. But then I can see here that I've got rebook appointments. So queries are super nice. I feel like this is not doing it any justice, but hopefully it paints a bit of a picture. The other thing that we wanted to look at was to-dos. So if I let me actually just kill this block, and I say query, and then I can say to-do, and what is to-do? There we go. I've got write report, book doctor's appointment. I can also say query later, and there's, I use to-do doing done, but some people use later now doing. I don't know exactly what they are, but that to-do works across those different types of blocks. So two more things. I'm quickly going to do the property one. So let me actually just go to a book for example. So Musashi, and again, it's got in this properties block, I've defined a property type. The property is called type, as I've defined a property creator, and you can see that it's much simpler now than the old version where you had to have the properties container. It's literally just type and then colon. So I've defined the property type and I've defined the value of books. So now I want to go find all the pages which have the property type books. So let me go back to my journal just for fun, and and then I'm going to say query, open brackets, property, and then type, and then books, and then let me just curly brackets there, and there we go. The other book that I had was the Chronicles of Narnia. So it returns all those pages that have a property with the type books. The one place that this doesn't work very smoothly is if you have a property tags. So in some of my templates previously, you would have seen that I use a property tags. I've stopped doing that. I'm just putting tags in free flow. So the final example is something that might help people who are doing quantified self sort of activities or habit trackers where you define like a wake up time or bedtime. I don't personally do it, but I hope this might help someone, where I have defined the properties, which are wake up and bedtime. And now I can query that and I can see what my history of wake up times and bedtimes are. So let me quickly just do that over here. So you see it returns those values to me. Now taking this to the next level, you can put this in a markdown table if you want. So I'll actually link to a post below for markdown tables. I'm sure this is some functionality that will be built very soon, either in Logseq or in one of the plugins that are being built. But whilst you wait, might as well play around with something. And I can do this. And there we go. I've got my wake up times, bedtimes, and the query shows the different wake up times and bedtimes. And you can do the table however you want. You can configure it. So I hope that helped someone. So that's it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. This one took a few more bites of the apple than I expected, but I wanted to refine the language a little bit and make sure that it was very digestible. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought about the drawings. I quite enjoyed it. I was really inspired by Maggie Appleton. She's got this great website which has got all these cool illustrations of different concepts, and the one of them which might be pertinent to someone who's just getting started is looking at databases. And yeah, it just talks about the analogy of a database as a shelf and thinking about how you go and find information on the shelf. So Logseq is a database and you can query your database. So yeah, pertinent there. In terms of what's coming next, I finally bought the book, Getting Things Done. It turns out that I was a little bit arrogant when I thought, I know all the concepts here by osmosis. I'm learning a lot from it, and I'm really hoping to implement it in personal life and work life, and hopefully even collaboratively in Logseq with my team. So, yep, looking forward to it. Let me know what you think, and hopefully see you soon. Cheers.